So Vehishalachti is Lashon Rabim. And Lashon Rabim means at least two. Not at least, it means two. The third doesn't qualify how many. Lashon Rabim means plural. It's the minimum of plural. And that's Kimamios. There's two opinions in the Gemara what Kimamios means. I'll lead you upright. One opinion is double the height of Adam Marishan, which means 200 amas. So what are these two Eifanim of Halicha? And why are they in one word? So it's hard to explain in those bays that we find in going, there is Panim v'Ocher. Go before me, go after me, says God. The various psukim that he brought. He said they correspond to Mamala Kalalmin and Sebev Kalalmin. After me is Mamala Kalalmin. It's only a Ha'ora. So it's the hinder part of Alikus. Before me is Sebev Kalalmin. And they parallel Milamayla Lamata and Milamata Lamayla. Mamala Kalalmin by nature, as he's explaining now, he's in the middle of it. The whole relationship is Milamata Lamayla. And Sevev Kalam in the relationship is Milamayla Lamata. The guy had to explain it, and he said, Mamala Kalam comes to be Islapshus. There's a whole arichas about Atzilus in contrast to Biyah. All to say Islapshus. And then there was at the end of the Ois, which Tzarech Ian further, we addressed it, but he spoke about the constant creation, which is Mamala Kalam and also. So explained that in the words of creation, there's two dimensions. There's the fact that there is a word, and there's the content of the word. The etzem word is Havaya. The content of the word is Shem Alikim, Mamala Kalam. He's speaking here about the content of the word Mamala Kalam. So even though that's taka every moment, but it comes Bislabshus Chidush Yishonas Bulvad. Once a pattern is established, so it's the expectation that it continues. And what's lost on us is why should it be this way altogether? We don't see that. It's etzem being. That's concealed. Sevev Kalam is concealed. So all to say the Mamala Kalam is a oy which is shaykh to Eidelus. Whereas Sevev Kalam, now next page. Okay, that's right. I'm moving, I think. Okay. So we're up to maybe we did this, we'll do it again. The second ois, the second paragraph of ois beis. So the Gila of Eir HaSev Kalalmin in creation is, the model is from above to below. Sheikh Bezehu is Galus Elyon. Because Sev Kalalmin brings, we don't experience it, but what it does bring, what it is an expression of is the Elyon. The Eibishter creates Yesh Ma'ayin. That's what's going on over here. What's going on? What's happening in Tzatzev Kalalmin is what? Is the phenomenal chiddush that there could be creation. What does this point to? Who's the player here? Not creation. What are you doing here? It's you were brought into being. Whereas the Gil and Malkalalmin is already an investor in creation, so there is an acknowledgement of Mitzias. So that's the starting point. So that's Shaykh La'ilamis. And the Malkalam is invested in creation, each one according to its level. So therefore, so that engenders what kind of relationship? Hiluch means a relationship. The starting point is the mata, and he acknowledges where he comes from, etc. And a different way to describe this is Malkalam engenders an appreciation of the designer. Why? Because you see design. If you see design, it points to design. So where does the consciousness come from? It starts with, here's design, points to a designer. But Sevev Kalalmin is totally beyond our ken. It doesn't start with our existence. Therefore, it's lost on us, because if it did, we would be dissolved out of existence in terms of feeling any sense of separation or having any hakbala. So the starting point of Sevel Kalam is Memayla Lamata. As he concludes, Malka Lalmin is Shika Bezehu, Islapshus Bekeli Hamata. Malka Lalmin is all about the investor in the Keli of the Mata. And if you're investing in the Keli of the Mata, then that's the premise of that is that there is a Mata and he's a Metzias. And we're going to engage him. So the starting point is the Mata. And that is parallels after me or before me, says God. So it is the intellectual experience. We can't experience it now as an experience, but we can entertain the idea, and we must, even Atzmos we talk about. And so this engenders that gilui, that relationship is a hiluk to some degree, but relating to the Pnimius of Elikus. That's the starting point as Elikus, and that's Bittul Hametzius. But that's following after God. After God means I'm here, he's there, I'm going after him. So where's it starting from? Here. Because Sev Kalam is upon him, because it's the uncompromised Gilu of the Eibishter. That's the Pnimius. The Malk Kalam is only that which is invested in the Mata. That is only the external dimension of creation. Of Elikus. Yeah, the relationship, the starting point of how the relationship works. Where does it start? It starts with the truth of God, then me, or me, then God. So when you're going after, follow after me. After me. So first you're chasing God. Panim is, starting point is, you're in the presence of God. That's it, that's the reality. And therefore you. So he said, the darga of Sefer Kalam can only appreciate at a deep neshama level and intellectually. We can say the words. We cannot, and we do not, by divine design, experience the gil of Ibn HaSefer. In Malakalam, to some degree, we do. The properties of and the beauty of nature, and its complexity and design are tangible things that are direct consequences, and invested in them are the midas l'mayla. Water behaves the way it is because it's a manifestation. Invested in is chesed, and fire behaves the way it does because it's gevura. Every single property of these elements is an expression of a property of Elikus, which we can apprehend and appreciate and be in awe of and love. Okay, v'yesh lahoisif, second. Last paragraph, Ois Beis. The Rabbi answers, this is also the source. This is the source from which descends and devolves ponim, face to face, and the hinder part, the way it's manifested in this world, namely, mitzvahs, Hashem's direct commandments, that's where Hashem's pnimis is revealed. And the opposite, not the panim. That everything, all physical matters are connected to klipa to whatever degree, higher level, lower level. Nonetheless, they are sustained. This is in Shtalsha down here, creation, they are sustained, not from a direct investor of Elikus, but the Hindu part, like a person who will feed his enemy, not directly, but throw the food behind his shoulder, the soine to his enemy, without expressing his inner will. So then why are you even entertaining him? Because he serves a purpose, it's a means for an end. This world serves a purpose. The purpose it serves is to test us and to bring us out, bring out the best in us, but more than that, to create the dir b'tachtonim. But the purpose is not the world itself, it's the relationship with the Eibishter, and that's the panim. That's Kedusha. Where's the relationship? The relationship is in mitzvahs, in a direct way. The indirect relationship is in klipa, by resisting it, by using it, by overcoming it. The ultimate is to use your enemy in first the enemy has to be broken. And then the enemy is turned around and harnessed in your service. We take the Gashmis Vilam Haz and use it for godliness. So that's an external relationship. Because external means it's a means for an end. This is not the tachlis. Tachlis is the pnimius of it, the mitzvah component that with which we will harness and engage the world. Yeah, Ois Gimel. Everybody has a mind, but there's lots of copies. Yeah, Ois Gimel. Everything comes. I mean, I'm talking now in Avodah because we're kind of going ahead, but the mind will say it for us. It's right now. Ois Gimel. So Ois Gimel. Where's the place? Yeah, no, Baruch Hashem, it's the week before Shavuos, Achana to Matan Torah, and there's these Yisaitis, you see? The Chavra here. And in the Zoom, so how do we draw down these two in Yondim? The Yibishter wants both, they're all equally him, Avayu, all him. So how do we mamshich this? Nimshachim al debezi fana hiloch. It's throughout two avodas, b'chinas panim, b'chinas achish, b'avodas adam, an inner avoda and a quote unquote external avoda. So what does this mean? Shebaklolos avodas adam yeshnam bezin yonim. In avoda, there's two dimensions in b'chinas panim v'achim. It's all part of avodah. It's not just pnimius. There's the avodah v'achim of external, and the paradox is that it's through the external that the true pnimius is revealed. Anyway, let's see. Let's continue in the mind. What's the panim v'achim in avodah? Dini yadu. It's known. He quotes here from Tanya, from the Yitzchayim, Perek Lamed from Tanya, from the Yitzchayim. Shanashama atzma on one level, neshama atzma in tzricha tikun klal. Famous quote: the neshama itself doesn't need to be fixed at all. Now, if that's all you ever learned, then you're left with, it's not about you. I'm going to just add something here in parentheses, which is very important. It's not about you, bittul, right? Is that not like the whole point? Is that not the whole point of Avodah? Isn't that what we heard all our lives? Is not that what's being drilled into our heads in Fabrengens with the Mashpiyim? I don't know how old you are, but I would assume that that's what you've been hearing. My younger brothers, we were reminiscing and recalling our youth in yeshiva. You are nothing, should be nothing. This was a common phrase. You're not from, you're krum. V'chulu v'chulu. And the shoma atzamin tzrichatik klal. It's not about you. You come down to the world, you got a job to do. As we'll see presently in the next few lines, that's the chitzonius. The pnimius is entirely about you. Completely and absolutely. It's all God wants is you, you, and you. I just want to say that, as we stand now, Erev Geula, now's the time when this has to be talked up, especially to our kids and ourselves. This is the ultimate self-esteem and the deepest truth. This whole avodah, mesiras nefesh and bittul and tshuva and terem mitzvahs, it's all one thing, because this is how you and I become one. Elevate the world, go in shlichus, not about you, and be mekaraveh. All these things. What's the end of the day? You. I need you, I want you. This is the most important and critical nisava. This is nisava Kadosh Baruch Hu. It's the Rebbe's, over and over again. Neshamas Yisrael, I want you. I'm the Eibush says Kavayochel, incomplete without you. Your machshava, your dibur, and your mais. At the end of the day, the deepest level, that's the only thing that resonates. As you heard me say endlessly, the I don't care why should I care? I don't care. You tell me all the things that I'm gaining, I don't care. Not the Elam Hazin, not the Elam Haba. The answer to that is, you're right. But you're needed. He needs you, and that's irresistible, friends. It's irresistible at the end to know and feel this, that you're needed. That's our deepest need. And the paradox is the biggest yeshes. That's the paradox, that the Yesha Nivra expresses the Yesha Amiti. The Anoichi Availikecha is you. It's the biggest Yeshes. You're needed on the one hand. It's the biggest, the whole world needs me. The Eibusha needs me. It's the biggest. Can there be a bigger? And if I don't do it, the whole thing falls apart, so that, the biggest Yeshes is the biggest bittul. Because you're needed means you are attacking nothing. Per se, it's a little human being. But the big Eibusha needs you, that makes you everything. It's the biggest self-esteem that's rooted in the greatest, deepest possible bittul. Needed. And when the kid says, I don't need anything, it's wonderful. Why should we have needs? That's the tachlis. Do I have to have any needs? It's not, but just you alone. What does that mean? You alone. The biggest Baltaiva. It's your need. That's all I want. I don't care. That's beautiful. You shouldn't care. Why should you care? Don't take yourself seriously. But you're needed. He cares about you. He wants. Oh, that's something else. Again, it's irresistible because it taps into our deepest need. Is to be needed, which is the ultimate mitzias. It's not negotiable. You're needed, period. Absolute being. Right? The famous book of Viktor Frankl. If you haven't read it, it's worth the read. Man's Search for Meaning. Meaning means needed. Ultimately, that's the meaning. And no one can take that away. I'm needed in Auschwitz and I'm needed in Hampstead. Nothing can take that away. So the Hina Yedua, so this is the Panim v'Acher. What's the Acher is not about you. The Pnimis is about you. Let's see inside the Maimer. He says it's subtly, but he's saying it. Hina Yedua, Shanasham Atzmein Tzichat Cloud. This is Neitzchaim, it's classic. The Neshama doesn't have to be fixed. So this asks a question, would I be changing this? The answer is fixed? No. But need you, yes. So this is the external mandate. So why did Neshama come down? Quoting Tanya. Neshama comes down here only to fix the guf, and the Nefesh Bahamis, and the allotted portion of the world that's given to each one of us. So that's the chitzonius, not about you, the chitzonius. Why? Chitzonius means for an end. We're dealing with external things. Not about you, dealing with other things. The guf, Nefesh Bahamis, and you're part of the world. And that's a means in the end for what? The pnimius, which is you. Listen to these words. Pearl v'negeil. This is the Rebbe's chiddush here, really, that in one way or another, it's in every maimer. The ponim is the avodah b'pearl v'negeil l'mayla. You are negeil, I need you. That's the pnimius. Know what is above you, an eye that sees, an ear that hears, etc. Says the Alter Rebbe, Says the Alter Rebbe, da mal milamayla, know what's above, comma, mimach from you. Shekol in yonim shelamayli mimach, the Eibishter and he's affected, it's all from you. Shetluyim ba'avodas ha'adam, it's all dependent on avodas ha'adam. V'al derech shomra chazal, like the Gemara says, I'm sorry, the Medrash, she'Yisrael meisifim koyach begvura shel mayla. Yidden add strength to the power of above. I've got the pasuk there. The pasuk Tsui lot chatesha, you made the rock that formed you weak, referring to the Eibishter's pasuk in the Hazina. The rock that formed you have weakened. Weakened the Eibishter by doing mitzvahs when Moishe gevura power. Avodah is, the general avodah is, tzedek means for the need of the one above. What he's not spelling out here is, he's not spelling out here, but elsewhere is, you could read this by saying, okay, so it's not about fixing down here, it's about giving the Eibishter. But he didn't say he's giving him what? You is what you're giving. That's the simplicity. The tzedek gavoya is the neshama, is the yid. And he adds here, inyan zeh afilu ba'darge shebonema. He does not maidich here, but he says like this: there's a darge which the pasuk, about which the pasuk says, "Im tzedaktam," that's a pasuk in Eir. "Im tzedaktam atitilo." If you gave tzedakah, what did you give him? That's a rhetorical question. Answers nothing. And the pasuk continues, "Rob she'echam atasel," and if you sinned exceedingly, what did you do to him? The answer is again nothing. That's what the pasuk says. It's a clear pasuk that Hashem is not affected, and it's all for our benefit, for our schar and oynish or whatever, which the kid says I don't care, as we said before. But the Rebbe is saying here that this is a feel on that darge. It does not maidich, but even in the darge, which is Baklola's next words, how is also affected by the avodah of a yid. Notwithstanding, the pasuk is saying that it doesn't affect. That is bechitzonius, but the chitzonius of avodah kalalmin don't care. The pnimius is yes, does care. It's explained elsewhere in Chassidus, though, in the Purim Maimorim, that the whole chiddush of Eibishter's Pchid in Yidden is that the Geirel, which is the level which is transcendent before whom all is insignificant, Ata Toimach Geiroli, you support the level of Geirel, that even the level of Geirel says, I need a Yid as well. Even Sefer Kalam. So what's the Pshat? The Pshat is, okay, I'm going to hear, but that even, it's not just, that mitzvah Pchiras Atzmos, they connect to Atzmos, but invested in every Yid is every manifestation of the divine, including Sefer Kalam. So if Sefer Kalam, the infinite, seeks the mile of infinite, the Yid has that also. He has that too. He has the mile of Gvul and Bli Gvul. Why? Because his avodah touches Tzedek Gavoya, the very essence. I'm saying this Bekitza, I hope that was not lost. Maim is not addressing it, so I'm not going to Arichas, but he does say that it's Negeya, even a Sefer Kalam. What does that mean? Sefer Kalam means everything is equally insignificant. But there it's also Negeya. Mitzad Atzmos. Which means that the Jew has infinite power. He said, first, yes, Sefer Kalam, a Jew is a miracle, is a walking miracle. Our existence as a people, individually, there's Nisim. That's Sefer Kalam. That's part and parcel of his life, his mamshech. Every aspect of the Likus is all in him. Let's go further by number 32 in the text, yeah? I'm just thinking, it astounds me. The truth is not so astounding. The story is always so often like Mamish Dovetail, what we're just learning. And I just choose them randomly, just, try and, as you'll hear. Now, the prati is, we just said now in there's two general avodas. There's avodah with the world, that's chitzonius. And then there's the avodah, the neshama, and that's the pnimius. that he's Pearl Lamaila. Now he adds, but Proteus is in more detail, Yeshta Bezi Fanim Bavoidis Adam Gofa in the person's Avoid itself, which is Avoid with the world, etc. There's these two Eifan. Shem Bezi Fane Ahiluch Mepchinas Panim Mepchinas Ocher. Going Pnimius and Ocher, that's how to translate it. Hinder and Pnimius. External. Namely, Milamaida Lamata, Lamata Lamaila. Above to below, that's Panim, Lamata Lamaila, that's Ocher, as we explained earlier. Let's see inside that. The matter is, Sheyesh Avoid, Shebefin, shall say that about drug. There's an avoid that a person does. He's predictable. Say the badroga, and they shall call it avoid. His avoid is he's progressing steadily from level to level. In accordance with his level. There's no breakthrough. That's ochem from below to above, and he's ascending ever higher, and that's beautiful. Which is higher than say the vadroga. He makes a radical change. He makes achlot, and he does something which is shlei be'erech. That's what ocher means, graded and what I'm looking for. Level by level. And the pnimis poni, but this touches the pnimis, of which there's no boundary. And that happens because at this moment he's opened himself up to a truth that is higher than his matzav. He's acknowledged something which is talking not where he's holding right now in terms of am I ready, do I want it, and but he's confronted this and he's embraced it, and he makes that hiluch shalei be'erech. And what is this? So Baklala said is a chilik shebin avidas tzadikim shebeseder vadroga. We're talking about the general difference between the tzadik's avodah, which is beseder vadroga, the avodas bali tshuva shebechele yatir, in contrast to the bali tshuva, who is with greater force, intensity, and it's radical. The mailim is seder vadroga, above the seder. And now he goes even further. There's two levels of merit, as it was. Ordinary merits, that's one level of tshuva. That's a tshuva out of fear. And that will engender the avodah of tzaddikim. And then it's chuyesh shenasa. And there are merits which happen because of the transformation of the actual zdoinus, which are deliberate transgressions. That's a more radical step, and that's the avodah me'avid, explains in Tanya. Since we're mentioning it, just to say the difference between the two levels of tshuva is the first level of tshuva is I messed up, I want to change. That's just not comfortable being. Guilt is not a nice place to be, and I want to get out of here. There's many levels to that also. A person who discovers Yiddishkeit, and all of a sudden, when you discover Yiddishkeit, it's just not comfortable to be any other way. As a way, you get used to it, not used to it, exposed to it. It's beautiful, and you make that transition. That's avodah me'ira. Tshuva me'ira. Tshuva me'ava means basically, how could I have done this to you? That's tshuva me'ava. It's not about I don't want to be here, reward, punishment, all of the whatever. There's many endless agendas of the tshuva me'ira. But tshuva me'ava, and that's transformative. That transforms this doinus into schuyas, as explained in Chassidus. Relatively speaking. Yeah, that's what the tzaddik's got to do tshuva. The tzaddik has to do tshuva because the Eibush is like, come on, let's get real here. Touch the depth of me. You don't know how to do that, so look at about tshuva, get inspired, or it better be inspired about tshuva. Okay, we'll stop here and we'll continue tomorrow, as I want to tell the story. We'll continue tomorrow, Beis Hashem, and summarize the point that we said. Okay.